Have you ever noticed how much bolder scammers seem to be these days? Perhaps you've received a strange phone call where the person on the other end seemed just a bit too friendly. Or maybe you once spotted a worrisome email claiming you owed money to some official-sounding department. If so, you're certainly not alone. Many of us, especially those past 60 or 70, find ourselves targeted more frequently by people hoping to trick us out of our hard-earned funds or personal information. It can feel unsettling, but being aware of these tactics is a powerful first step toward defending yourself. Today, we're going to talk about 5 scenarios you could encounter that a scammer may have deliberately set up. The point here isn't to make you suspicious of every interaction. It's simply to equip you with a sharper sense of awareness. Because once you realize how these situations are crafted, you can spot the red flags much sooner, avoid unnecessary stress, and protect what matters most to you. Imagine this. You're at home on a relaxing weekday morning when your phone rings. You answer, and the person on the line introduces themselves as a representative from a major credit card company or tax office. They say something urgent, perhaps that there's been suspicious activity on your account, or that you owe an outstanding fee. They insist that action is required immediately, or you'll face dire consequences. This is our first scenario, and it's incredibly common. It's rooted in fear and urgency. Scammers know how unsettling it can feel to hear that your finances or legal standing might be in jeopardy, especially if you've spent decades building your nest egg. So they ramp up the pressure, using worry as a weapon. They might say, "We need your banking details right now," or "Give us your personal information so we can verify who you are." If you hesitate, they might even get pushy, scolding you for not acting quickly enough. What they're doing is emotional manipulation. The caller wants you to react first and think later. But once you recognize the pattern, someone telling you, out of the blue, that you have to hand over sensitive details or risk big trouble, you have the power to step back. You can calmly say, "Thank you for letting me know. I'll call the main office of my bank or the government agency myself to confirm." And if the person on the phone resists that idea or tries to scare you even more, that's a glaring signal. Something's off. Hanging up and contacting the legitimate institution with a phone number you trust, like the one on your card or from the official website, is often the quickest way to confirm whether the issue is real. 9 times out of 10, you'll discover that the scary situation was just a scammer's fiction. Let's shift to a second scenario that might catch you off guard because it seems harmless, even kind. Perhaps you receive a friendly email or message from someone who claims to be from a local charity, or maybe a family friend of a relative you barely remember. They're polite, they ask about your health, and they mention some heartfelt cause in need of donations. At first glance, it all sounds comforting and familiar. Maybe they even have details about your life gleaned from social media, so it feels personal. But that's exactly the angle, building trust. Once they think you're emotionally invested, they subtly guide you toward donating money or sharing banking info. They'll phrase it like, "Any little bit helps," or "We just need to confirm your information to process your generous contribution." The tricky part here is that genuine charities do exist, and of course there are real acquaintances out there who might reach out for help. But scammers blend in by copying the tone and language of legitimate causes, or by referencing partial truths about your family. The best safeguard is verifying who exactly is asking. If they mention a relative, why not call that relative first? If they claim to be from a recognized charity, look up the charity's website or official phone number yourself. Never rely solely on a link or phone number provided by the person who contacted you. And if someone becomes pushy or tries to rush you, that alone is reason enough to slow down. No authentic cause or friend will bully you into a snap donation. Scammers thrive on quick, unquestioning compliance, whether through fear, guilt, or a mix of both. Yet by practicing a short pause, a double check, and a clear boundary, you can thwart their efforts. Real institutions, real family members, and real charities will respect your caution. They'll encourage you to validate the request or give you time to think it through. Doing so not only protects your wallet, but also your sense of safety, ensuring you can still engage in genuine acts of kindness without falling victim to trickery. Now that we've talked about these first two scenarios, the urgent fear-based phone call and the misleadingly friendly approach about donations or financial help, we can look at what else might be lurking out there. Because scammers aren't shy about inventing new tactics. With the knowledge you're gaining, you'll be able to spot signs that simply don't feel right and keep your financial and emotional well-being intact. Continuing this conversation about potential scammer setups, let's talk about a different kind of encounter. One that plays on your sense of urgency, but in a more technical way. Perhaps you're going about your day, checking emails or browsing the internet for recipes, when suddenly a pop-up appears on your screen. It warns that your computer has been infected with a severe virus, and that you must call a toll-free number or click a link immediately to resolve the problem. The wording might sound dramatic. Your computer is at extreme risk, and the design might resemble official messages from well-known tech companies. In reality, though, it's a carefully orchestrated scheme aiming to scare you into handing over remote access to your computer or paying for worthless services. If you follow the prompt and reach out, the person on the other end often claims to be a technical support specialist. They'll try to convince you that only they can fix the dire problem. Then they'll walk you through steps that let them enter your system, sometimes disabling real antivirus software or rummaging through personal files. If you show any hesitation, they'll say something like, "It's very dangerous to wait. Your personal data could be stolen at any moment." Again, that sense of immediacy is the tool they're using to bypass your normal skepticism. Recognizing that sense of forced panic is your cue to step back. If you have real concerns about a computer virus, it's best to contact the support line you already trust, like the customer service number listed on your computer's official manual or the official website of your actual security software. Real tech professionals won't pop up out of nowhere to demand immediate action. Another major pitfall that catches many people off guard is the possibility of romance scams. This scenario might begin innocently enough, especially if you're active on social media or use online dating platforms. Perhaps someone with a very appealing profile starts chatting with you, someone who claims to be a widower or a lonely soul stationed overseas for work, or simply a charming individual who shares your interests. They message you consistently, building a fast emotional connection. You might exchange personal stories, discuss your favorite books, or even talk about the challenges of aging. It can feel refreshing, especially if you've been missing companionship. Over time, however, a pattern emerges. They speak of how desperately they want to visit you, but something always gets in the way. Maybe their child is sick, or they lost their passport, or they had a sudden job crisis. And each twist leads to a request for money. Sometimes it's framed as a loan they promise to repay, or an emergency that only you can help solve. Such tactics hinge on empathy. Scammers know that many seniors have big hearts and are generous by nature. They create elaborate backstories to tug at your sympathies, hoping you'll overlook red flags in the process. They'll say, "I can't wait to be with you," or "You're the only one I trust." They'll pepper their messages with romantic language or compliments that make you feel special. But romance that grows suspiciously fast, combined with repeated financial pleas, often points to a con. If you encounter this, it doesn't mean you have to shut yourself off from the possibility of real connection. Just be cautious. Consider verifying their identity by requesting a simple video call or meeting in a public place if it feels right. And never agree to send large sums of money or share sensitive personal details with someone you've only known online. Real relationships can survive healthy boundaries. Scammers, however, typically vanish or become hostile once you ask them to prove they are who they claim to be. A helpful mindset in both the phony tech support scenario and the fast-tracked online romance is this. Genuine relationships, whether they're business-related or emotional, respect your comfort zone. They allow you to ask questions, seek verification, or take your time deciding on important steps. Scammers, on the other hand, want to rush you, whether that's through fear of a virus or the possibility of losing true love if you don't send them what they ask for. So whenever you sense that rush, when you feel your heartbeat quickening because it seems urgent, or you'd be letting someone down if you say no, that's your prompt to slow things down. True professionals, friends, or potential romantic partners will understand your need for certainty. They'll provide real evidence if you want it, and they won't bully you for taking a moment to think. By recognizing how crooks can invent technical emergencies or exploit loneliness, you're already on your way to protecting yourself. You have every right to a secure digital life and the pursuit of meaningful relationships, minus the fear of scams. And here's something empowering. The same caution that helps you ward off scam calls or suspicious emails also applies to these other setups. If a request for money or personal access feels off, trust that instinct. Often your gut reaction, those small warning bells, knows more than you think. Acting on that instinct can save you stress, financial loss, and emotional heartbreak. Now that we've covered these potential traps, from fake computer emergencies to manipulative romantic approaches, you might be wondering if there are even more scenarios out there designed to catch you off guard. Unfortunately, yes. But with the knowledge you're gaining and the sense of watchful confidence you're building, you'll be even more prepared to spot the signs and keep your peace of mind intact. Continuing this discussion about the clever ways scammers may set you up, let's explore another situation that can take you by surprise. Unexpected bills, invoices, or prizes that magically appear. Perhaps you open your mailbox or check your email one day and discover a notice claiming you owe money to a company you've never even heard of. Alternatively, maybe you won a contest you never entered, and all you have to do is pay a small processing fee to claim your jackpot. It might look official at first glance, complete with logos, legal-sounding wording, and a deadline that pressures you to act fast. Or it might appear casually friendly, telling you to simply send the check for the owed amount to settle an overdue balance. These are more common than you'd think, and they rely on two emotional triggers that can catch you off guard: fear of financial trouble and the thrill of a big win. The fake invoice trick might read something like, "We regret to inform you that your subscription to Service X is overdue. Please mail a payment of $200 to avoid additional penalties." If you're a bit forgetful, you could wonder, did I sign up for this at some point? The notice might even say something like, "This subscription helps you with identity protection," which can sound legitimate enough, especially if you do care about security. Scam artists bet on your reluctance to contact them or double-check the details, so they often include vague but plausible references, hoping you'll panic and pay to avoid any confrontation or trouble. On the other hand, with prize or lottery scams, you'll see the opposite angle. Pure excitement. A letter might announce, "Congratulations, you've been selected to receive a $5,000 prize. Please submit a $50 handling fee to process your winnings." This can be awfully tempting. After all, who wouldn't want a nice chunk of money? Especially if finances are tight or you'd love to treat yourself to a special gift. Yet genuine prizes don't usually require you to pay up front. They don't demand that you wire money to cover taxes or legal paperwork, and they certainly don't rush you with menacing deadlines. Real contests or sweepstakes also tend to have thorough disclaimers, transparency about who's running the show, and they typically require you to fill out official forms. Plus, they won't mind if you take your time to verify everything. If you see an invoice for something you don't remember purchasing, or if you receive a suspicious windfall you never applied for, consider calling the supposed company using a verified phone number, one you find independently, not what's on the invoice. Ask them directly if you actually owe anything, or if a prize is legitimate. Genuine businesses or institutions will appreciate your caution because it's your right to know. Scam setups usually unravel quickly when you start asking specific questions. Can you give me my customer ID? Or which branch of your company is handling this invoice? Or why is there a fee for a prize I never entered to win? The person on the other end might become evasive or irritated, or might even hang up. That's a surefire sign you were never dealing with a real invoice or a real prize in the first place. It's also wise to watch for small details that give the scam away. Are there spelling errors or oddly phrased sentences in the notice? Do they use a generic greeting instead of your name? If it's an email, does the address look off, like it was typed in a rush or includes lots of random characters? Is the letter printed on suspiciously low-quality paper with a return address you've never seen before? All of these tiny red flags add up and can point to a con. And you don't need to feel guilty for second-guessing an invoice or a surprise windfall. Most legitimate organizations understand that seniors, and consumers in general, are trying to be safe, and they'll calmly walk you through any questions if they're legitimate. While the invoice or prize scam might seem less personal than a romantic approach or a manipulative phone call, it can still create significant stress if you're worried about an outstanding bill or excited about supposed winnings. Scammers know how to tug on your emotional strings, whether it's dread of additional fees or the thrill of free money. The best defense is the same steady approach. Slow down, verify independently, and never provide payment or sensitive information until you're absolutely sure. If you're ever genuinely unsure, speak with someone you trust, a neighbor, friend, or family member, and ask if they'd mind looking over the notice with you. Often, a second set of eyes can pick out something you missed in the heat of the moment. Now we've talked about various pitfalls, from urgent phone calls to false romances to these surprise invoices or lotteries. And while it might feel like a lot to remember, the principles are pretty straightforward. Question urgency, be suspicious of requests for immediate money or private information, and verify any questionable claim before you act. Above all, trust your instincts. If something feels off, like a left-handed compliment combined with a demand for cash, or a pushy attitude about your bank details, it usually is. With just a bit of caution and a willingness to slow down, you can keep your finances, personal data, and peace of mind secure. And in the process, you'll remind yourself that it's entirely possible to engage in the modern world, enjoy online conveniences, and build new connections without being derailed by someone else's harmful scheme. When you recognize the signs of these setups, you stand on firmer ground, able to say no confidently, or even ignore the attempt altogether. It's a liberating feeling to know you can spot the red flags before you're drawn in too deep. And that sense of empowerment is something all seniors deserve, especially after working so hard for the resources you have. Now that we've shined a light on several different scam scenarios, from fake phone calls and false charities to computer emergencies, romance traps, and surprise invoices, it's worth pausing to reflect on what connects them all. Scam artists rely on a sense of urgency or emotional manipulation to override your natural caution. They know that if they can spark enough fear or excitement in you, there's a chance you'll hand over personal information or money without taking time to think. But here's the empowering part. You're absolutely allowed to slow down, ask questions, and verify every last detail before you respond to any request. In fact, that's not just allowed. It's wise, and it keeps you firmly in control. If someone gets irritated because you want to check their credentials, that's usually a clue something's amiss. If the voice on the phone or the text in an email sounds too good to be true or too frightening to ignore, it might be a tactic designed to rush you past your better judgment. These days, it feels like scammers get more creative by the minute, but the fundamental truth remains. Real, trustworthy people or organizations are willing to patiently address your concerns, give you time to think, and let you verify their legitimacy. They don't mind when you call back using an official number, Look up their website independently or ask a friend for a second opinion. This caution doesn't mean you need to lead a suspicious life, constantly looking over your shoulder. Rather, it's about balancing healthy caution with your natural goodwill. There's no shame in hanging up a call the moment something feels wrong, or ignoring a message that claims you've won a contest you never entered, or refusing to chat further with someone who keeps asking for private details but won't answer simple questions about themselves. In fact, that boundary, saying, "I'm going to confirm everything before I share anything at all," is exactly what keeps you safe and preserves your ability to enjoy genuine relationships and services online and off. When you take the time to verify a request, you're also reminding yourself of something important. You've spent years, even decades, building your resources, identity, and emotional well-being. Protecting them is not only wise, it's an act of self-respect. You're not a child who needs to rush because an adult told you so. You're a capable adult who has every right to question and confirm on your own terms. If that means contacting a trusted friend, your bank's official number, or a family member for advice, then so be it. The best next step is always the one that leaves you feeling informed rather than pressured. Maybe you've already encountered one or two of these scenarios. If so, you might have that uneasy memory of almost giving out your credit card number, or feeling creeped out by an online romance that demanded money. Even if you did fall for a scam in the past, hey, it can happen to anyone. Consider this moment a fresh start. Being scammed once doesn't mean you'll be scammed again, especially now that you're armed with clear strategies. Trust me, knowledge and a firm stance can go a long way in sending scammers packing. And here's a final piece of encouragement. Staying safe doesn't mean missing out on all the positives in life. You can still give to real charities, lend money to genuine loved ones in need, enjoy social media and online shopping, and even explore new relationships if you wish. Just make sure your steps feel grounded in real facts, not fear or rushed excitement. That means checking official websites, waiting a day or two before finalizing a donation or purchase, and talking through concerns with people you trust. Of course, scammers may keep evolving their methods, but your ability to slow down and assess each new scenario will remain a powerful defense. You are not helpless, and you do not have to face this ever-shifting landscape alone. If you sense something's off, rely on that instinct and use it as motivation to gather more information. The more you practice this, the quicker you'll be at identifying red flags, and the calmer you'll feel when faced with suspicious requests. Remember that your well-being matters, and so does your peace of mind. You don't owe anyone an immediate response, no matter how insistent they become. Taking a step back, verifying details, and even confiding in someone you trust can mean the difference between falling victim to a con and confidently living your life on your own terms. If you found these insights helpful, please feel free to share your experiences or thoughts in the comments. Who knows? Your story might help another viewer recognize a scam before it's too late. And if you'd like more videos that give you practical tools for staying secure and savvy, subscribe to this channel. Because every senior deserves to enjoy the fruits of their hard work without fear of trickery. Here's to staying informed, empowered and open-hearted, enjoying the best of what the world offers while knowing you've got the awareness to shield yourself from those who would prey on your trust.